My dear daughter, a set of short-ish video logs, whatever this is called, for my daughter, who's in her very early teens, and I'd like to keep a journal of what happened to develop the world that she will inherit when she becomes an adult. I don't know how long these will last. I don't know how many I'll do, but I'm gonna keep doing them as long as I've got content and things I want to leave as a message to her. So let's begin, I guess. My dear daughter, episode one, generative AI. This will absolutely, fundamentally be a big part of your life um, as an adult. No if buts or maybes about it. The genie is well and truly out of the bottle. No matter that 2023 January, it's literally just begun, and people are already suing. It's always good to see people are happy to see the future. I mean, there are important questions to ask, I'm sure. But this is what I mean. This isn't a fully exhaustive list, but it was pretty much what was available. Daddy played with Midjourney, chat-gpt, copy AI. I've played with. The GitHub Copilot, for example. But really, I totally I'm really excited to see what happens in 3D models because Daddy plays with Unreal Engine and Unity, and therefore I wanted to. I'm waiting until I can get my machines to do all the 3D work for me because I'm not very good at that. But I wanted to talk about the fact that there's quite a lot coming. And they're really all tools, right? They're all tools. By the time you are an adult, I suspect that you will be aided and abetted in whatever career you choose by quite a lot of artificial intelligence. Um, and I don't believe AGI or general intelligence is going to be a thing. I kind of hope not. It'll take an awful lot of energy, and I'm not sure that you can build that kind of generalized AI in the way that we're doing it at the moment. And I don't really want to get into that right now, but I think it's really important to focus on specific use cases and areas where AI can definitely help us. And I think that's going to be your experience in a decade or so, is that you're going to get helped in doing your work rather than the machine just doing your work for you. Um, and to be fair, if the machine is doing your work for you, then well, that's okay. You can move on and do something else that the machine can't do because that's the things that a human being should be doing. The whole point of robots and machines is to help us and to take away the mundane, so that the creativity in every human being can be unleashed. Right? That we are not just machines. We're not just workers. That actually human beings are thinkers. Every human being is a thinker, and that for too many centuries we've been turned into machines to produce output, to drive economies, and to serve this monetary master, instead of really using our economics and our tools and our engineering to give ourselves the cognitive space to explore the universe around us, right? But anyway, getting way too off in the distance there, and maybe I'll cover that in another topic. But I wanted to draw your attention that at this point in time, people have filed, well, this chap Matthew Butterick, who's also filed a lawsuit against GitHub Copilot, which I'll talk about in a minute. It really thinks that this is all, that we're stealing from humans, and he wants something nearly, he wants 500 billion or whatever, and he tries to get this. The largest art heist ever was for 500 million. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, no one's stealing a piece of work and saying, yes, I created this. Yes, look, the concert by Johannes Vermeer, right? I can get Stable Diffusion to draw a country scene in this style. It doesn't mean that Kush or Depp painted that, right? Absolutely no one's going to believe, hey, Kush, that's an amazing piece of artwork you've drawn there, mate. What they're going to say is, how did you get it to do that? What was the prompt that you used? And prompt engineering is really useful because it's exploring this, and we'll digress slightly here. We're exploring the human-computer interface, right? Back in the day, there was this whole thing about HCI, human computer interface, and there was a lot of work done when people still didn't know what computers were on, hey, how do you talk to a machine and express your human fuzzy intent and get the machine to change it into what we call discrete logic and execute it? Um, and before mice and keyboards and touchscreens and stuff, there were these custom keyboards and weird expressions, and there's a reason. For example, it's 80 characters, and the reason why all the key commands in Vim, if you ever need to come across that kind of thing. But before Windows turned up and mouse pointers around the screen and menu bars and the springy menus and not iPhones or whatever turned up, it was a different world, and people were working out, how do I talk to a machine? And I'm kind of like, isn't this what it's doing anyway? It's the prompt engineer that you really care about. Is how did you talk to your machine to make it, draw you a picture of a pleasant country scene in autumn in the style of Johannes Vermeer? And people are not going to look at it and go, "Oh my God, Kush, you obviously know how to paint like Johannes Vermeer." It's like, no, of course I don't, or any other artist, right? It's like, of course not. Kush Lepp is not an artist, right? But he's a pretty decent prompt engineer by now, and he can get some pretty cool images. He doesn't try and sell them as NFTs because NFTs are a pyramid scheme, but let's not go there right now. But I think that's the point this chap's missing. But he's asking for money. He's saying everyone needs to be recompensed. All right, but has every one of those artists recompensed every person, every who inspired them, or etc.? Have they done that? Because I don't think so, right? And it's even worse when you go to this Copilot thing, right? Which is, you've stolen software. It's like, I'm an engineer and I know, my dear daughter, that you do not want to be an engineer because you find Daddy's job really boring. So does Daddy, but that's another point. And I think engineers, right, are massively guilty of just reinventing the wheel because why not? For those engineers who might listen to this, and even if you're listening to this and you become an engineer for some strange reason in the future, we used to have something called Terraform and Ansible, which threw up hundreds of thousands of, if not millions and more, GitHub repos and Bitbucket repos and GitLab repos of how to build this, that, and the other, or this network or that, when really you just needed a couple, right, of parameterized scripts which just did the work for you. But everyone invents their own, right? Because no one apparently has cottoned on to the fact you can just copy paste that stuff, right, and amend it and just run with it, because that's not the outcome you're looking for. The outcome you're looking for is an operating system, but we'll talk about that in another episode, I guess. But there's everyone stands on everyone's shoulders. You initially stood on your mummy and I's shoulders, and that's our job. We taught you to read and write. We encourage your learning. We encourage your inquisitiveness. Then your masters and your teachers taught and gave of their advice and their training, and you read books written by people. You studied from videos. You took all sorts of information, and you'll create your own stuff. But at no time will you really sit there and go, by the way, here is a piece of work and a thesis of all the people that ever helped me. No, of course you don't. That's just not the contract, right? This is more, I think, about money and, hey, can we make some money out of this, right? There will be another episode about that. But I find this incredibly disappointing. But, it's okay. People are allowed to ask these questions, and it'd be useful for the course to turn around and hopefully turn around and say, hey, guys, this isn't stealing anything, right? Yeah, it's derived work, because everything's derived work. And maybe this will finally open up and put to bed this whole intellectual property nonsense of like, I invented this. No, you didn't. Like, not on your own. You stood on the shoulders of giants to see a little bit farther and a little bit further. That's two different things. But anyway, there's this thing about, nevertheless, because all the visual information in the system is derived from copyrighted training images, the images produced, regardless of outward appearance, are necessarily works or derived from those training images. Yeah, that's what every artist does. I'm not really, I can't claim to be an artist, but every artist does that. Every artist derives their work from something that they've seen. it's called inspiration. We're just formalizing the inspiration because it turns out that you can build an algorithm to do that. Is it demeaning a human to do that? No, of course it isn't. It's saying I'm going to give you like a more powerful paint palette and a more powerful engine to create art. Now tell me what you'd like to create and let's work together. And it's that prompt engineering that's kind of cool. And actually, today there's a great deal of free help for prompt engineering. If I just, you know, just do a search, right? There's oh no, apparently not because I can't spell prompt engineering stable diffusion there. Right, there's loads of, just take the first one, prompt guide, how to, so you don't just go give me X, Y, and Z. That actually there were things like negative prompts, and you can set the thing, all sorts of stuff, right? No one who creates a picture is going to go, I created this, I drew this. No, you didn't. No one's saying that. What we're saying is, I managed to get a prompt carefully enough crafted to give an image that I really liked, and I hope you liked too. And that's it. That's the whole point. Because this is the beginning of this revolution, right? The models that underlie this, these are all cool, but the models, the actual AI models under that, are really powerful, and they will be massively helpful for the entire planet going forward, and it will start doing things to the economy that have been needed to be done for quite a while, and it will start helping. But it doesn't help when people try and just grab as much money as they can before it passes them by. It's really it's weird. Like, it's trained on a big scrape of the internet. Yeah, of course it's trained on a big. That's the contract of the internet. Sorry, the internet. The internet is a different thing. It's mostly free. It's free stuff, right? Unless there's a paywall behind it, it's free stuff. Yeah, it's copyrighted work, but it's like you pay to use like services, etc. And you say, yeah, sure, you can scrape it or not, right? It's if it's scrapable, go scrape it, right? Everyone does it because that's how we build the future. We don't build the future by trying to charge everyone for every cent. And in everything I've said so far, I think you should be able to start picking out a fundamental question that everyone needs to answer that. We look forward to helping Mr. Holt find out the many state and federal that protects artists and their work. Yeah, it's whatever, right? Like, seriously, I mean, I don't know. I don't know this guy, but I don't like anyone who starts with, I'm a writer, designer, programmer, and lawyer. Okay, well done. Just say, I mean, are you claiming to be a polymath? I don't think you are. If, yeah, no. I think you're just a money grabber, to be fair, mate. My opinion, other people's will vary, of course. But if we go back, oh, by the way, this image here is credited to Alex Zhu, who is a guy I follow on LinkedIn. There are loads of others, and by the time you get to see this, there will be many more. But I think it's quite wonderful what's happening. I think many of these things will fall by the wayside as they mature. I'm now incredibly interested, by the way, of character. I can't spell. Why can't I spell? Why can't I spell? Character AI. What is it? I don't know. It just calls my. What is this? What is this? What is web catalog? I don't know what this is. Character AI, how to entertaining chat-gpt auto. Oh, right, okay, it's a GPT alternative already. They don't trust everything. It's people are playing. People are playing, and it's okay to play, right? Stable diffusion, and I have a local install, and I create images on it, and a lot of them are a bit weird. Like, it's got a real problem with eyes and hands sometimes, but it's fun, and it's nice to have that power to be able to see things. And I use Blender for 3D work, and actually there's a really powerful sort of like texture tool for that, which rocks. And I might even do a video for you on the things that it uses for 3D work because they're pretty cool and I want to show them off the state they are already. I can't even imagine what it'd be like in a decade. But I think the fundamental point is uh, AI is not really meant um, to just replace you as you know, we don't need humans anymore. No, it's there to say, listen, I'm going to take the mundane away from you. That which can be codified into regular repeatable steps, right? Which will generate, yes, AI. I mean, there's the old saying, right? What is AI? Oh, it's if then statements in closure, or prologue. But and it's I think it's that point that's really important is that we should be building tools to replace the mundane out of the lives of human beings, to give them the cognitive space to say, what's next? How do I explore this universe, right? How do I explore the world I live in? Because there are 2023 there are some massive problems in the world, and we seem to have very few people who've got any kind of idea about it. Um, and instead of opening people's minds and saying we're going to give you that space because actually the world's problems have to be solved by the world, not a group of people, meeting in Davos or wherever the hell that these people meet, and go, well, we think it should be like this. No, it needs the whole world to sort of think and talk to each other and collaborate, which was kind of the point of the internet, right? It wasn't really 280 characters to scream at each other or post pictures of what you have for dinner or weird, wonderful memes of inspirational thoughts or whatever. It was meant to allow us to talk to each other and explore like really complicated areas and ideas um, and try and find out what's next. Or well, maybe that wasn't how it was meant to be. But I was kind of hoping that's I think everyone was kind of hoping that that's what would happen, or hopefully, generally gently nudge people into do that instead of what it's turned into. Um, and maybe the point of, maybe we'll cover that in the whole marketing thing about how marketing destroyed Western civilization. Um, but it's that point that I wanted to get across that early 2023, there's so much happening. There's people are finding a lot of threat in it, that they're under a lot of threat. Maybe I'm disingenuous, but people are trying to grab money out of it as soon as they can without really doing any of the work, right? Um, and it's there's a sadness in seeing that reaction, but also a great joy in seeing that actually people are cracking on anyway. Because it's important that people do crack on, and so if you think about um, the models, right? There's this idea of DALI and so on and OpenAI, um, and they're kind of almost proprietary models, but actually that there are things like Stable Diffusion, which is an alternative to DALI 2, and GPT-J, and the other things from Euler AI. Let me Euler AI. I think it's something like that. Euler AI. Let's see, GPT-J. I don't think this is correct. Eulther. That's why I can't. Yeah, this is GPT-J6 model on GitHub. Let's write me some code for a C# character controller for Unity. Let's see what it says. Write me my game, please, engineer of machine. Oh, this is taking much longer than GPT-3 does, but we'll see what it spits out. But I think that's the point. The point is that these are tools that are meant to help you do the mundane. Just get the mundane out so you can, for example, when you're doing game dev, actually, Unreal Engine, Unity has come a long way in taking a lot of the mundane stuff out of the way, and it's powerful mundane stuff. This is taking way too long, but it's really about saying, so if I take all this away from you, so you don't have to build your own 3D engine, you don't have to build your blah 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 blah, what can you create? And this is almost a next step to say, okay, if I take even more, excuse me, if I take even more of the mundane stuff that every dev team writes away from you, it just gives you a good enough thing. What can you do? What can you explore? What's the new gameplay mechanic that no one's thought of? Right? This is insane. This is, oh dear. That's just not good, is it? Chat. Let's go to chat.openai. Right? Let's go to chat.openai. Let me log in. Um, and I'll show you how powerful this was in its day. Let's autofill. Yeah, sign in with that. Come on, come on. This is kind of cool. Um, okay, so yeah, every now and then, like previous conversations would be too hard, but I can write something that here says, for example, write me a character controller for Unity. Let's say write me a top-down. Let's spell that character controller for Unity with 8 degrees of freedom. And it'll go away, and if it's not too... Oh, Dark for Unity, however, I can provide... or what? So it does, this... It used to do weird stuff like this, because it totally can write code for Unity. But every now and then, it doesn't understand the prompt, and I didn't really think about that. Write me a top-down character controller for Unity with 8 degrees of freedom. Yeah, that's... but it's actually telling you what you need to do. And actually, I'll ask it to generate code after it stops generating this, and we'll see. But this was the power, and this was state of the art in 2023. I'm not sure what it'll be like when you're doing it. Maybe you'll be able to talk to it and just have a conversation, because that's kind of what the dream is, right? Write the code for this. But as a language, I'm not able to write code for Unity. That's weird. Why is it? Yeah, okay. It doesn't. It's got confused with the phrase "write code for Unity." But it's writing code. This and I've actually done this before, and it's fairly okay. And you may be able to say it doesn't need to be a mono behavior and all this kind of stuff. And is it the exact thing? Point is, like, you copy paste this and you work out whether it works really quickly, right? And you can tell it how it did as well. So if you're a really experienced engineer and you go, oh, actually, this isn't how I do it, then you can say, actually, this is how I do it, and it helps train it, right? That's also a part of the contract with using these things is it isn't just a one-way street. You're meant to help make it better. But anyway, I'll leave that running. But yeah, I think for AI, it's very much about. I hope in your future, people haven't got this hang up about, oh my god, it's stealing from me, or it's stealing from my discipline, or whatever. But actually, that it's a tool, right? Just like, I don't know, just like a microscope or a textbook, right? Or the internet, or anything like that, for example. It's a tool that takes available information and makes it more easily available for you to create your own stuff, right? Um, and if you don't get credit for it, you don't get credit for it. It's okay, right? You didn't give credit for everyone who taught you along the way, right? You don't submit your thesis or your homework or your well, okay, hopefully you're still not. Well, maybe you're doing homework in a decade's time if you're at uni, right? But you know, when Dave does his work, right? When I write a PowerPoint deck, I don't put like a uh, you know, uh, 30 slides underneath it, starting with mum and dad, all the way through everyone who's helped me create this deck, right? It's just no. And I think that's important to understand, that when this chap says there are federal laws, etc. Yeah, I'm sure there are, but to be honest, if America is not going to allow it, there's a whole world. I'm pretty sure we can, because it's important that this happens. It will replace people. It absolutely will replace some people, but that's okay, because if your job can be done by a machine, it should be, and you should go and do something far more interesting with your life. And that's a bold statement and probably a very conceited one, but all right, I can live with that. But look, I hope you enjoy this 25 minutes of a bit of a rant from Daddy, which I'm sure you're used to, and anyone else watching this, I hope you enjoy it too. Um, Watch out for the next one. I'm not sure what topic it'll be, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining. Thanks for watching.